Today was the first communion of little
Monsi,
one of the Olivas' tribe of kids. And it was kind of a great celebration. But it's connected to all today's readings. There's a template here by the reason that we keep going back to these stories of the resurrection. This is the beginning of our faith moment. This is the breakthrough in human history, the resurrection, that changes us radically. It is the Son of God saying that this is the absolute Word of God coming to us. This is the absolute feeling of God for us coming to us. This is the absolute Spirit of God coming to be for us. And it's important for us, I think, that when we tell these stories to each other, and I remember trying to break it down and try to help the little ones understand it, that this was the community that received this gift and were so utterly changed. And they're always fearful. And maybe that's why he has to keep telling them, peace be with you, calm down now. I really am with you, that the presence of the risen one by the gift of the Spirit is going to be with us for everything. And an amazing thing that takes place, the people look at them who they are. Out of the 12, remember, only Matthew the tax collector could even write his own name. They were the original motley crew. But everybody else is invited in. We have men and women, children too, young people. We have the wise and the not so wise, the foolish and the brave, the wealthy and the poor. It looks like everybody is welcomed in and nobody's thrown out. Everybody's welcomed in. And that bodes pretty well for all of us, that we're all welcomed in constantly by the risen Christ. Does not keep us away from his table. He tries to invite. We have the freedom to leave, too. That's our free will gift. It's kind of amazing that we have the first letter of Peter. It's to the Romans. What's going on in Rome? Little house churches. They're being already kind of expelled from the synagogue in Jerusalem. But what in the heck is Peter doing in Rome? I mean, do we ever ask ourselves that question? That's far from Jerusalem and Nazareth. That's far, far away from the Lake of Galilee where he's a fisherman. Most likely, the letter was also composed by the early missionaries working with Peter and using Peter's name as kind of the hallmark of saying, this is something to pay attention to. It was probably in that letter was an early baptismal formula that the people were invited to say, here's where our real hope as human beings is. That, the ultimate thing that we have to face is the obituary column, which we all don't want to face that. It's somebody else's time, but death is going to be happening. And the gift of the resurrection says we are not meant for dust. We are meant for everlasting life. And that's, again, that hallmark, that template that the early community did. And when we listen to Peter and we listen to the Acts of the Apostles, we're finding something interesting. It's the same thing that we did with little Monsi today. They came together as a house church. They broke the bread and shared it in the presence of the risen one. And then, after breaking the bread, they listened to the teachings of the apostles. And that was written, 2,000 some years ago, and saying that we did the same thing to pass on the tradition to Monsi and the little kids of receiving First Communion. We broke the bread, listened to the readings of the apostles, their instruction to us, and then had to become living it out as a Christian community. And the living out part is always the toughest part. We will always be challenged in this time and age, like every age was. They had Diocletian in the past, and we have other type of Diocletians running around that say, this is really your God. Give up on the Christ. And the challenge for us is to be the people who say, we'll hang on to the Christ. He gives meaning to our life like no one has given meaning to us before. Peter, that I also would like to remind everybody, he did not speak Italian. He did not speak Latin or Greek. He was an itinerant fisherman, and his wife probably was mad as heck because, well, where are the fish to feed the kids? But most likely she had to pack up and come with them, too. You know, he would not travel alone without his wife and family, so they all would come. And, you know, a strange place to be. Fishing in the Tiber wasn't so hot. But he had a personal revelation and conviction and strength that had astounded others to believe. So it was this transformation of people that took place that continued the Jesus movement of which we are the inheritors. Today is a good day in our church. John Paul II is beatified today. And if you had catch it on TV, even surprisingly, CNN has nice little coverage on it. And in Rome, you see 1 million people all having a wonderful time of celebration. They tell a story, you know, there's a lot of stories about it. Some of the bishops said he got, when he was older, you know, he had Parkinson's and he had all kind of huge physical problems. And he got a little crotchety too, they said, because he was old, you know. But that, you know, he was not canonized for being crotchety, you know. He was canonized for his great gift of faith and also some really bold stuff that he did. Most of us have heard all the big stuff, you know, the times of wiping out of the challenge for communism and the fall of the Soviet Empire, which he certainly made an impact on. Two things I'd like to also remind us that there were other times that were not really recorded well, and one was this that just caught my attention. His photographer, you know, the Pope has a photographer that almost lives with him. So he gets up to take his picture, he goes to bed and takes his picture. You know. All the time, taking his picture. He meets somebody important, taking his picture. Cat would have a great time with that. He was going to Seoul, Korea for a mass with about 1 million new Christians that were going to celebrate in Seoul, Korea in 1984. Outside of the Korea Peninsula was a small island with lepers on it, 800 lepers. And they wanted him to go and bless the new chapel for the lepers. And that's Hansen's disease before it really got cured. So he comes and he lands, and they said, you only have 15 minutes. They had a little helicopter to take him back and forth. And they're all waiting for you in a stadium, you know, 1 million people waiting for you. He always draws millions, you know. It's interesting. We should always connect with that. Why? Why does this elderly man draw all these people's attention? Especially young people. But he said, okay, I'm going to bless the chapel. And they had all these cardinals around, like, you know, fussing around and they move here, move there. And he looks out and sees this community of lepers. And he said, well, you finish the blessing, get in a helicopter, they're all waiting for you. Puts his hand up. And when Pope puts his hand up, even the cardinals have to say, ooh, go ahead, listen to this. And he went to each leper. All 800, one by one, hugged them and kissed them. Took 800 minutes. They're on schedule. That type of strength and compassion is what he leaves for the church to follow. We can't all do, there are not too many lepers around to hug and kiss. I think there are broken hearts to heal. And that's that we, as part of the Christian community, we witness for life, we witness for the men and women who are in great suffering. We reach out to those who are suffering in places like the Southern States right now. If we can't go there personally, we do our gift of prayer. And we also have a connection with every human heart, and that's the gift of the gospel. And finally, I had a chance to meet him. I was young on my way to Ethiopia. And he was very athletic. He had a strong hand. He was a swimmer, too, by the way. Swimmer and skier. He did all that kind of stuff. They had a difficult time. One of the things about, he built a swimming pool out in outside of Rome. He has a place to stay because it gets so hot and damp in Rome. It's higher up in the hills, Castel Gandolfo. And he built a swimming pool there, and he got criticized for it. He said it's cheaper than having another conclave to get a boat. He liked to swim. I think he's a smart guy, too. But I met him, and my grandmother was Polish, so I learned all these Polish sayings, you know, that I was going to say with him. It was a private audience. And it's a great picture. If you go upstairs in the office, you'll see, you're most welcome to see it. And he's shaking hands, and I'm giving him this beautiful line in Polish, and he says, Father, please speak English. So I said, well, I learned real quick, you know, your great high point of life and all you're practicing. His great laugh. It was done with humor, too. He laughed. He said, because my Polish was wrong. please speak English. And so, but he had a great sense of humor on that too. And I think the church is wise to offer prayer through his intercession, and asking him especially because he was a great teacher, a great scholar, to watch over all of you for this time of testing. Good day to his special blessing for all of you. Let us pray.